Exodus is a being that's so mighty when it comes to psionic abilities. You're going to see a lot of that in this video. They even call him a psionic of the highest order. Imagine being a psionic being like Exodus that can dismantle all of this stuff of a helicarrier, then use all this equipment like an art form to build. One could say a cerebral scanner. This is some artist type of stuff when it comes to psionic manipulation, building stuff with your telekinetic type of stuff. That's Exodus for you. You're going to see how this video goes when it goes farther. I truly believe Marvel in some ways has dug themselves in a hole because there's literally characters they probably have forgotten about that's in their inventory. One of these characters being Exodus. He's one of those characters that have a very interesting real name. Due to being a mutant type character, of course, they got to do the standard trope of ever since he was young, he always felt he was different, but didn't know how because he couldn't prove it yet. But over the years, obviously, his abilities started getting produced or manifesting. He was born during old-timey days when stuff looked like this. So it's almost like he became on some treasure hunting, seeking out power type of thing. Tried to search for it, thinking he finally found it. All these hidden mysteries he was excited about. One of the few mutants that was back in the day like this was Apocalypse. And the power that he conveniently was searching for just happened to be Apocalypse without him even knowing it. But during this search for power, he got lost in the desert. The power he was looking for was actually Apocalypse. One can say Apocalypse is the reason on how he got better with his abilities, and it kind of shaped him into the being we know as Exodus. I swear in comics, these powerful beings always end up being with a mentor, and then they end up even rebelling. So yeah, he rebelled against Apocalypse, and Apocalypse kind of, one could say, depowered him. After Apocalypse depowered him and sealed him away, you can see on occasions like this, he was buried alive. He emerged again in later comics as a follower of Magneto. What's up with this dude getting cool with mutant supremacy type people or survival of the fittest type beings? This page right here, you can get an idea of Exodus's past history and stuff, about how his history with Apocalypse, and how he was a warrior of the Crusades back in the day, how he was sent to explore legend, a lost pharaoh in Egypt, found himself tested by Apocalypse, helped him unleash his own mutant powers, blah, blah, blah. Here's a list of all his abilities here. His power grid, his speed, says like that because he's a teleporter. Durability and stuff is enhanced thanks to his energy projection. His strength is kind of irrelevant, which you're going to see in this video. I personally love psionic type characters, and I've went over plenty on the channel. Exodus is one of those beings that's basically a psionic type, telekinetic, telepathy type character as well, picking up stuff with your mind, all that good stuff. Telekinetic type beings usually have a nice amount of blast power, can lift up stuff without touching it, stuff like that, the type of stuff Exodus can do. A lot of people that can move stuff with their mind can also go in your head, do some telepathy type stuff. That's also part of his power set as well. He can also levitate and teleport. Make force fields, kind of like Invisible Woman, control minds, all that good stuff you're going to see throughout this video. And he can also enhance his physical attributes to superhuman levels. Generate psychic, whirlwinds, resurrect, and decease. One of his powers, of course, is flight. When it comes to his speed, they've literally got on panel saying that he can at least fly Mach 2, 2 times the speed of sound at the very least. He can do telepathic type stuff to the point where he can even fight Professor X. While doing this, he can react to a blitz from somebody. So it lets you know that they even stated on panel, just because he's fighting somebody in the psychic plane doesn't mean Exodus is not aware of his surroundings. People forget how powerful he is. Multiple telepaths try to pull up on him. He can overpower them on the psychic plane. In this occasion with War Machine, he can mess them up psionically without actually having to go in physically. He can mentally locate people, so it's hard to hide from him. He has really good precision when it comes to his psionic type stuff because he can repair Xavier's brain when he was in critical condition. And in this occasion, he said, I can repair his brain, its physical structures atom by atom. He can hit people's ghostly astral projected states, apparently. He can teleport, you already know this, but he can teleport beings away. So he's having a psychic battle with Professor X. The clash was messing up other psionic beings I have videos about on the channel, like Emma Frost, for example. Even though she's far away from the battle, it's messing her up. An all-out telepathic battle. One could say this is Haxie, him being able to dominate multiple X-Men at the same time with psionic type of stuff without even needing to get physical or physical blast or nothing. How you gonna be a telekinetic being that has cheat code abilities like feeding on other psychic energies to power himself up? One can make an argument that he has ways of increasing his power, like a strength or power increase factor. They pretty much explain on occasions like this, your gift means you're more powerful the more people believe in you. So that comes in handy. It's implied in other situations like this. For example, talking about how people's belief can give him power. What makes Exodus scary is that later on in this video, you're going to see that he has a lot of blast power, but check this out. He's able to multitask really well, messing people up on the psychic plane or psionically going in your head, messing your head from the inside out. Beings like Rachel Gray are trying to defend the X-Man's mind on the psychic plane. She's fighting him on the psychic plane. So it's basically two battles happening at the same time for Exodus while he's fighting a group of X-Men at the same time. Anybody that can block Jean Grey's mental stuff when considered considering that she's a Omega level when it comes to telepathic type stuff, this is absurd. Even beings that can go intangible can't make their mind go intangible, and Exodus still can hit beings like Shadowcat, battle psionic beings like Emma Frost, who I have a video about, who's pretty powerful when it comes to psionic mind stuff. And if you try to stay intangible, he will unphase you, looking like Magneto. I'm solid. How did you... One can make an argument that he's actually more dangerous psionically, but nah, he's not. He's still ridiculously powerful psionically when it comes to going in your head. He does this to Nightcrawler and Angel when he's looking like Magneto. For the most part, when it comes to beings like Exodus, their physical strength is kind of irrelevant because their blast power makes up for whatever their physical's lacking stuff. Or they can lift up stuff with their mind or telekinesis they can't lift up with their muscles. So it's almost like their physical strength doesn't matter. When it comes to his blast power and energy projection type stuff, one could say he could do some Psylocke type stuff when it comes to construct creation. Like on some Green Lantern stuff. Like it's implied. He can make his own energy constructs if needed, but like I've shown, he can actually enhance his physicals because we've seen on occasions his durability is decent. And like most super soldier-esque or above characters, he can lift up beings with one arm. Let's get right into the nitty-gritty when it comes to his blast power. Telekinesis can just blast through this area, like get this debris out the way, I'm entering the room type stuff. Beings like Hope Summers, he's gotten scuffles with. I mean, even when he just discovered his power, he can blast apart a boulder. His blast power allows him to vaporize certain entities, a being that apparently has the power of 10 warriors, and an entity that can eat sword attacks. Blast power still can vaporize entities like this. Hey, Big Sentinel, just because you're bigger than me does not mean he cannot dismantle it like this, the wave of his hand. Or all this metal of a shield hole he can just open up like, yeah, I'm strong like that. I mean, he can do Hexy type stuff with his telekinesis. He psionically increased Quicksilver's metabolic rate, metabolism. Exodus had this battle with this being known as Holocaust. Their blast or battle collateral in general was able to do all this to this space station just to give you a grasp on how destructive these beings are. And it's kind of a decent long panel for panel when you sit back and analyze it. And one can say it's high difficulty for these two. I mean, it was even stated that his psychic blast did this. You know his base, right? So check this out. This big old base, he has the kind of blast power to where he can crush the entirety of the base. Look at him. Look at the size of area effect he can blast with. Look how it looks on the inside, just to give you an idea of what he blasted away. And he can blast it away just this easy. So it's not even debatable at this point that he can blast apart buildings with ease. This is backed up by feats like this I already shown, like messing up this boulder. Whatever he can blast with, his shield should be similar. He can shield from Cable's guns, and you all remember what Cable's guns have done to even Red Hulk level entities. One could say a part of his durability is his shielding because he can shield himself from powerful hits when needed. Like we've seen him block attacks from multiple entities, like even Black Knight, Cyclops, Storm, all at the same time, while apparently restraining Jean Grey over here, then says, "Get the heck off of me." This being known as Rock Slide tries to hit him, blasts him through the wall. When it comes to psionic or energy projection, he has blast power that he can use from his hands and his eyes that can apparently almost kill beings like Quicksilver with one hit. He's constantly a threat for multiple Avenger Powerhouse type people, even Jean Grey, even some powerhouses like Scarlet Witch. You see them in the panel. You be seeing him take down groups and leaving them kinda staggered quite a bit after he's done with them. This powerful mutant known as Havoc, he's blasted. Look at the blast power impact, making a big crater like that. It's only natural he's a mutant type character. He gets in a lot of scuffles with the X-Men. We've seen him blast the flesh off of Wolverine, even muscle. And you know, if Scarlet Witch and Avenger level characters and powerful mutants can't do nothing, what these soldiers gonna do? They just get literally fried. In this sewer, for example, you see him blast a hole through it. It's proven with his output he can destroy multiple buildings because in his fight with a powerhouse like Cersei, somebody I got a video about on the channel, he can clash energy blasts with. I would like to add some crucial details when it comes to this occasion with Cersei. Match beams and match power with her. I mean, we've seen Cersei in the past get in scuffles with Hercules and sling him around quite a bit, so she's pretty powerhouse-esque herself. Implications that he got the advantage over Cersei because they're asking, is she all right, basically? I mean, notice how the eternal Cersei hits him real hard, and he doesn't really seem that damaged afterwards. We've seen multiple mutants blast him at the same time, like, for example, Polaris and Havoc, being like Polaris I have a video about on the channel. She's pretty powerhouse and similar to Magneto, and he's still resilient enough to keep on fighting panels later. It's occasions like this that let you wonder, does he have automatic shields? Because you can clearly see Colossus landed a straight hit. You see the blood come out and everything, but he's not like completely out of commission though after that hit. So it's the implication he has superhuman durability even without his shielding and stuff up. Cable and beings shoot and slash him, and he continues to fight and counters and blasts them back. He's withstood sonic screens thanks to shielding and durability and everything combined, and even countering after such attacks with his own blast. Characters like War Machine has hit him, and he kept on fighting after that too, blasting him back with his eye blast. Even when characters like Wolverine successfully stab him, and even when Rogue hits him and they slam him this hard, the fight's literally not over and he wants some more. You all probably have a decent respect for Gladiator, one of the many copycats of a Superman-like-ish type character, kind of like a Hyperion type character. You guys remember the feats I've already brought up for Gladiator in the past, like Gladiator can crack moon, tear apart black holes with his bare hands. The same Gladiator that stated that he can fly through the heart of stars and move whole planets. You know, the same Gladiator that is stated that he has enough strength to wrestle planets from their orbits and collapse stars with his bare hands. So tell me why that same Gladiator has a son and he has the same exact powers as his daddy. Rogue has the ability to use people's powers by touching them and stuff. So Rogue says, let me borrow those powers. So Rogue borrows such powers to use against Exodus. So a Gladiator level being in this particular occasion is tackling him. And notice he's strong enough to still hold his ground after those type of attacks despite her crazy strength increase getting the power of a kid Gladiator who has the same powers of her dad. It just shows that it's writer intent for him to be in that Gladiator-esque powerhouse ranges, Hyperion ranges of power. On top of that, we've seen him actually get hit by She-Hulk. Pretty much says that's not enough to take me on. I mean, based on all this information, how he can shield from powerhouses, beings that have Gladiator-like strength, still can't take him down easily. All this stuff combined should deduce that he can effortlessly planet bust, effortlessly star bust, based on his pure feats, narrative writer intent, and how he battles the powerhouses and the powerhouses' opinions about him. But he has battled Apocalypse, even though he does take his fair share of losses, like he does lose against Apocalypse. But the fact he's even getting in entanglements with these guys, there's implications in his power level. Scarlet Witch even said his powers are similar to Magneto back when they decided to have her related to Magneto before all these retcons and stuff. And then in cases like this, which I already showed, when you zoom in the panels like this, he literally says he's Magneto's heir in spirit and in raw power. When it comes to the power hierarchy, Magneto's always kind of been a power-centric, powerhouse-esque type of being. We've seen him do this to Red Hulk temporarily in the past. This group had Sunspot and Cable in it, for example, and he blasted them away. Cable is somebody I also have a video about on the channel to understand his might. And if you still have your doubts on the narrative, he's just meant to be powerful because he's literally an Omega level mutant when it comes to psionic type of telekinetic type of raw power. They explain it like this is an Omega level mutant, a mutant whose dominant power is deemed to register or reach an undefinable upper limit of that power's specific classification. For example, both Magneto and Forge are the most powerful mutants of their power types on the planet, Earth, magnetism, and technopathy respectively. But what makes Magneto and not Forge an Omega level mutant is that the upper limit of Forge's measurable powers could hypothetically be surpassed, and in fact has by multiple humans on the planet, while upper limit of Magneto's power cannot be surpassed by any measurable fashion. Another good example is that Jean Grey is both a telepath and a telekinetic. She's only an Omega level telepath, not a telekinetic level being. So one could say in pure telekinesis, he even surpasses Jean Grey, but not in telepathicness. You know what I mean? And here's a list of the Omega level mutants. Here you have Exodus. His Omega power is telekinesis. Notice how Jean Grey's Omega power is telepathy, not telekinesis, but his is telekinesis. Even though Jean Grey has telekinesis too, one could say Exodus is even better than Jean Grey when it comes to pure telekinetic psionic stuff. When it comes to this being known as Exodus, in his lore, it's literally narrated that he was once a psionic of the highest order, the right hand of Magneto. He has to be somewhere comparable to other beings like Cable, for example, when it comes to psionic blast power. Someone who telekinesis can do some issues to Hulk. So in Marvel, there's this island, or one could say country name, known as Genocian, which is supposed to be the place for mutant kind. It's like a paradise only for them. This dude Exodus made a shield or barrier around a big chunk of Genosha, like encasing it all, to trap multiple heroes, going to great lengths to isolate them from the outside world, a barrier that Exodus made, collapsing the energy dome, collapsing towers with ease. Dude was on some team busting, soloing multiple members of one team type stuff on situations like this. It even messed up communications with one another because of this dome. On top of the raw power of him being able to make a big shield this big, but at the same time, he's also controlling beings while doing this dome as well. How do you make a shield this powerful, but also suppress a Omega level, telepathic level being like Jean Grey and have her under his thrall while also battling the heroes? Yeah, she's over here sleepy. Let that sink in. And if you watch my Storm video on the channel, you would know her Cyclops are basically two beings that can destroy planets. Same with Bishop, and he's blocking all these attacks simultaneously while psionically making Jean Grey sleepy. They even straight up say that the land of Genosha, 1,286 square miles, was encased behind a barrier of energy. So basically think of Exodus putting a gigantic bubble around the whole place, right? But then using his raw power to close in the bubble to crush whoever's in it. He even said his shield is not merely a barrier, but a weapon, one meant to crush the entire island, nation, and all its inhabitants. I think it's pretty obvious he could wipe out a whole island if he wanted to, by making a psionic bubble bigger than the island, then crushing it. Due to Marvel wanting him to be at a certain power level, his feats with powerhouses and how powerhouses can't just easily take him down, all this stuff put together, also showing how durable his shielding is. His shielding should be similar to what his blast power can withstand. Yeah, this is not really over the top type of stuff, knowing that he can blow up a sun, considering he's competing with Marvel powerhouses. This is casual work for Marvel powerhouses at this point. He's just one of those characters that we haven't seen do it, but due to writer intent and him fighting all these powerhouses and how they can't overpower his shielding, knowing that they can bust planets and bust stars, his shields have to be able to withstand, or he has to be able to blast with similar force. I mean, when you look at him, he's one of those characters that can literally fly through the sun itself, thanks to his shielding, making him more durable, all that good stuff. Now, just because he's one of those characters that's kind of implied to be up there with the powerhouse doesn't mean he can't lose from time to time. And just because you lose to a being that's on your tier doesn't mean you're automatically in a lower tier. But yeah, he took L's throughout his career. But look, hey, it ain't nothing wrong with losing to Magneto. Beings like High Evolutionary that have enough blast power to make characters like Thor sleepy, he can block attacks from beings like this. I've got videos about both these guys on the channel, Nate Gray and Cable. One can say they're basically the same being, one that's limited, one that's not limited when it comes to psionic ability. Exodus has technically fought both of these entities throughout the year, but like I said before, just because you lose sometimes doesn't automatically make you weak. But yeah, in this particular occasion, I would say Nate Gray definitely got the advantage over him, even though it doesn't look like it was super duper easy. It does seem like Nate Gray did, after some difficulty, get the W over him, but it wasn't easy, one could say. Now, don't get it twisted now. Losing to Nate don't mean crap, because when it comes to all of his abilities combined, he's still got enough raw power to fight teams of X-Men to the point where even Rogue tried to steal his power, and he said, no, you can't steal my power. It's too vast for you. Considering that Rogue has stolen powers from gods before, and even Hulk, that's ridiculous that he's able to fight all of this, including Rogue that was powered up by Kid Gladiator, which I already showed, and he's still able to get up and keep on fighting. In this occasion, he said, Rogue, get the heck out of my way. One can make an argument. When it comes to reflexes, he's not slow because, you know, Quicksilver during this blitz, he was able to stop him mid-blitz. Bullets that are mid-flight, he catches them. I know you guys are wondering, no, that's not Magneto, by the way. That's actually just Exodus in disguise after revealing himself here. Most of the time he blocks, but there's some occasions he can just straight up avoid blasts, like in this occasion with Havoc. Some beings try to blitz. He's able to react to such attacks, like Cannonball doing such. War Machine, somebody that can shoot bullets, he can react and block them. When it comes to just fighting speed and stuff like that, not relying on telekinetic stuff, he still can react pretty well. Also using a blade, implying fighting skill, because he had to react to a being that moves like lightning, apparently. And characters like Black Knight that specialize in fighting, he can use a knife as well and pull out a knife on him. I mean, we got occasions like this where it's implied he can use a weapon, fighting skill. The way he fights, it's implied he's not afraid to just straight up blitz by using his flight speed in combat. When it comes to flight speed, it's hard to get a range of it, but we know how big a sun is, right? And for somebody to fly from one end of the sun to the other end of the sun in a panel, there's no exact measurement stated of how fast he did this, but it seems to not be that long of a time period. He flew to the other side of the sun, like straight through it, and we know how big the sun is. It's occasions like this that imply faster than the speed of light type speed, because if you can fly all the way across the sun, not necessarily going around it, but just flying the width of it would imply faster than the speed of light type of speed. Considering going around the Earth 7 times in 1 second is the speed of light, and you see the comparison of the sun compared to the Earth, for you to be able to fly all the way like this many Earth's lengths in a short amount of time implies flight speed. But at the end of the day, all of this could be just me, y'all. Do you guys respect Exodus? I think narratively speaking, the writers want him to be a powerhouse to a decent degree. He has his fair share of losses. Everybody loses in comics, so that's not really uncommon. It doesn't debunk his power at all. But what do you guys think? What do you guys think his limitations are? He's a powerhouse eccentric type being. Effortless planet buster, black hole, past black hole level being, you know, you get the normal routine of Marvel powerhouses. But before I get going, you got to respect this planet busting being. And I also have to say thanks for the donations. You got to respect Exodus. I'm glad you are enjoying your time on the channel. Make sure you check out the playlist on the channel to see other How Strong videos. If you like what this channel is offering, make sure you hit that subscribe button, and I will see you guys later.